My name is Caleb Brown. I was baptized April 30th, 2023, and this is my story. I've known Jesus since I was about 10 years old. Obviously, since then, there's been a lot of ups and downs where I was claiming to be a Christian, I was going to church, and I was going through the motions of being a Christian, but on the actual deep internal spiritual level, I wasn't walking with him the way I knew that I was called to. Finally, it was about two months ago, Pastor Matt, during one of the sermons, had called us to the altar. As someone who was always sitting in the back row of church, I literally physically and divinely felt pulled from my chair, like God was just grabbing my hand and saying, come with me, like it's time. When I went down to the altar and truly just broke, I had a rededication moment. You know, it felt like I had taken 1,000 steps away from him, and it was just one step back into his presence. So after that rededication moment, it was literally the next week that Pastor Matt had announced upcoming baptisms. And again, I kind of had that spirit moment, you know, that last thing of like, okay, you had that encounter with me at the altar. Now let's publicly recognize that and celebrate that rededication. It's hard to even put into words the experience. When I got into the water, it was almost like watching a movie over the last 20 years of all the mistakes that I've made, all the bad decisions, all the times I've turned away from God. But then the second that I went under the water and I came back up, it was just like God wiped the slate clean. And I felt physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually just lighter. That moment for me on Sunday was making the transition where I no longer just want God to be part of my life. I want him to be the center of my life. If I could say one thing to anybody who's thinking of being baptized, it's natural for humans to cling to the negatives of things. And so your brain and the world and the enemy are probably going to come up with 101 reasons as to why you shouldn't, but you only really need one reason to do it, and that's the cross.